Hello and welcome to Sacred Foundations, February 2023. I'm Julia Frainer. I'm so happy to be here with my good friend and confidant and my mentor, and she's the one I always call right there. So I'm so grateful to be with you, Jill. I'm looking forward to doing this reading with you. We've before Jill pops in and just says hi, I just want to share that we were chatting. This read came through so differently. And so we're going to do it just a little bit different. We're going to present it just a little bit different, more in conversation. But before we dive into that, welcome, Jill. So grateful you're here.
Thank you. And I just want to thank Julia also because I was going through some stuff and she's my go-to mentor as well. So, hopefully we all have a lot of mentors on our journey and, a lot of trusted people that we can share the most intimate details of our lives, the celebrations and the struggles. So Julia really helped me with something that I was going through. So I want to thank you, Julia, because your gifts are so beautiful and amazing to me. And all of the people that I have come across on my journey have beautiful gifts to share and in ways to shine their light in this world. And I know one of your gifts is helping people do that. So I want to thank you, my beautiful friend, and thank everybody who is joining us either in February of 2023 or whenever you see this video. So before we go into the actual reading, welcome to anybody who is new to this group, and hello to everybody who has been with us for a while. So Julia and I pull cards. We do a spread called the Cross of Truth. It's a 5-card spread. We use 2 decks that Julia and I both collaborated with some amazing artists around the world. The Awakening to Your Divine Self Oracle card deck and the Priestesses of the New Earth Oracle card deck. So many women from around the world channeled an image, and then they channeled a message to go with the image to help us on our journeys. And using this information in these decks with the Sacred Foundation has really proved beneficial to Julia and I in our personal lives, and we share it with our clients, and we wanted to share it with as many people as possible, which brought us to the YouTube space. So while we're doing this reading in February of 2023, we want you to know that it's timeless, because in the quantum field, there is no space and time. So whenever you come across this video, trust that the information is relevant to you at that time. So so just keep that in mind whenever you hear this reading. So as Julia mentioned, we're going to do this one a little bit differently. And I'm going to turn it back to you, Julia. Anything I'm missing?
No, perfect. Thank you, Jill. So we're going to dive into it together. Typically, if you've seen any of our other videos, or if you've been with us in community as we've done this, one of us will go first and do our reading. And what's been lovely about that is, like Jill had mentioned, we pull the cards ahead of time. We sit with them with the intention of it meeting individuals who are collected or come to the reading. And often I get a full read, Jill gets a full read. And it was interesting today when we jumped on and we both said, I'm just not seeing it full spread just yet, right? But as we began to discuss the cards and the positions that they're in, the conversation was incredibly beautiful. And so we are just going to discuss each position, and then probably it will weave that way. So Jill, you want to pull up the cards, and then we'll just get right on going.
I was so fascinated with what you were saying. I was like, wait, I have to pull up what? Okay.
What am I doing? So I feel some days when I wake up. What? I'm still here. Got to do something. Beautiful.
Can you see them?
I see them. Yes, thank you. So the first card will be the one on the bottom, Bravery. And for me, we are so close. I do a lot around, I am not an astrologer, but I dive in from an intuitive level. Everything that I do, and I can say for Jill too, pretty much everything she does is very intuitive. While we both compact, with so many modalities that we study, we take it and we work with it individually for ourselves and for our clients, those that we work with, and in our communities. And so one of the things that I do is do a study around the phases of the moon and astrology. My whole thing is bringing the cosmic energy down and the earth energy up. So we've got the astrology cosmically and the moon cosmically, and also the wheel of the year among the earth. So what was the first thing that came to me was that on Sunday we will be in the Leo full moon, and it's also known as the quickening moon. And that was such a beautiful visual for me, a sensation even in my body, that quickening, something's coming alive, right? And that's the season we are in the northern hemisphere. It's snowing here in Washington State. I came up from Utah, and it had snowed there yesterday. So while we're wrapping up winter, old man winter is still there, but there's a quickening happening in the earth. The seeds are starting to, the bulbs are starting to, and I believe that we are starting to. And this Leo full moon asks us to step bravely onto our sacred foundations as we begin to move through this new year of 2023. The sun is beautiful. And Jill, where in that, with this first card, in the present, are you feeling?
So to me, when I look at this card, so much information comes up, and before we go further, I just want to invite people. So, if you've been around the block for a while, you're familiar with your clairs, your clairvoyance, clairaudience, clairsentience, claircognizance. So clairsentience is that feeling. So we all have a really strong clair. So some people might be more visual, some people might be more kinesthetic, some people might be more auditory, right? So we have a visual images of the cards. We want to invite you to tune into the visual image of the cards and let them speak to you. So one of the things I didn't mention is, Julia and I are going to share the information that we're perceiving and that we're called to share. We want to invite you to, tune into the cards and see what emerges from you, right? Take what we say, take what resonates. If it doesn't resonate, it doesn't feel pertinent to you, either let it go or put it on a mental shelf. But from a clear sentience, a feeling state, see, even if you don't cognitively understand what the cards are telling you or whatever, see if you can viscerally feel the energy message of the card. Sometimes we need to give our mental mind a little bit of a break, or not try so hard to figure everything out, and then sit with the energy. So that's a message I'm actually hearing from the cards themselves right now, is to really invite people to tune into the energy, get out of the mind a little bit, use it when you're called to use it. I'm not saying dismiss the mind entirely, because we actually need it on our journey here on planet Earth. But see if you can tune into the cards with some of your different senses, with some of your different clairs. Okay, so having said that, oh, did you want to add something, Julia?
Just that, Leo is, which we're approaching the Leo full moon, is home to the sun. And so also receiving those light codes. And Jill is brilliant at working with light codes and encoded art. Yes, so everything she's saying, and you may want to, as you're seeing this, do some intuitive stream of consciousness writing or intuitive art with this as you're stepping into the bravery, onto a sacred foundation, moving into this next phase of life.
Awesome, thank you. So when I look at the bravery card, I see this young girl, this young woman standing in her sovereignty. And then we've got fire energy and we've got water energy. And then this, this big sun here. But we also have some water, which we're going to pull into when we get to the obstacle card, which is, or challenging, potential challenging energy, potential obstacle in the release card. But so keep that in mind, that you've got a lot of fire and water in the base card, and you've got this woman standing there. So bravery, right? Most of us can connect with the word bravery and that standing in your power. We've got, the solar plexus energy in there with personal power. And let's face it, guys, life on planet Earth is beautiful and amazing and wondrous, and it can be tough, right? I mean, it can be. So, let's just acknowledge that. And it does take a certain level of bravery and courage to walk the path, and walk the path with awareness. I have a joke with one of my other friends, and sometimes we're just like, gosh, would life be easier if we were just like unconscious and unaware? And I wouldn't change the awareness that I have at this moment, knowing that it's always growing, evolving. But sometimes it takes a lot of bravery. I know for the message within this card, there's also a lot of freedom energy. So when you walk the path with bravery, it does open up freedom and bring a certain level of freedom as well. And I also want to add to that, the young woman that created this card at the time of the printing of this deck was 13 years old. Isn't that beautiful? A 13-year-old girl from New Zealand. Her mother also created in the deck. And now that I think about it, which didn't hit me until just this moment, Angel Gratitude actually is the card that the mother created. So we've got mother-daughter energy here. We've got ancient sisterhood. All right, I'm going to pause for 1 second. Whether you're familiar with pulling cards and you pull cards, either tarot or oracle cards, or you work with the runes or the I Ching or whatever, there are so many different layers within the messages that the cards that is revealed through the cards, right? We're not giving our power to the cards themselves. We're giving thanks to the energy from the messages that they reveal to us on our journey, right? So I'm gonna ask you, Julia, because you may or may not have been aware. Did you know that there was mother-daughter energy weaved in here, and then we see ancient sisterhood?
Yeah, no, I did not know that. And it was like, whoa, that was very powerful. Yeah, powerful, especially in the positions that they're in.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
So, okay. So again, when we look at the cards, we want to look at them as a whole, but we look at each individual aspect throughout the reading. But I do want you to be aware that there's mother-daughter energy in here. And I want you to pay attention to the significance that may or may not have in your life, either from the physical world mother-daughter relationship, the cosmic concept of mother-daughter relationship, parent-child, however it makes sense to you. I want you to tune into that and pay attention to what that reveals for you. So, okay, base card, theme for the month or for the time that you're seeing this video is this sovereignty, this standing in your own personal power, looking at the fire element and the water element and allowing the radiance of the sun to come forward. So yeah, I don't think I have anything else to say about that base theme of this reading. Do you, Jules?
No, that feels really good. Thank you for bringing that up about Debbie and her daughter. That's incredible. Yeah, so incredible. Do you want to just roll into number 2 and then I'll pick up there too in the discussion, or you want me to dive in?
Sure. So the second position, and Julie and I each pull a card for the second position. That is the title of that position is how you really feel about the theme of the reading, which is the bravery card. It oftentimes will reveal your hopes and fears around the theme card. Okay. So we got to keep that in mind as we go forward here. So how we really feel when we're, here we've got this girl in the base position. She's standing alone. She's tapping into her bravery, her courage. Then we see ancient sisterhood. So we want to know that we're supported. There is a support system there in the seen and unseen world, right? I know it might not feel like it. And to be flat right honest with you, I mean, sure, there are times in our lives that some people have more support in the physical world than others. I'm not denying that. Personally, for myself, I'm very grateful I have an amazing support system in my life. And I do want to acknowledge that not everybody actually has that. That doesn't mean that you can't have that, right? Sometimes people have been wounded around being in community, and Julia is amazing with community and holding sacred space for those in her community. So she actually, Julia, I hope that you touch on the sacredness of community and the safety of it, and really, finding a community that's safe for people. So this ancient sisterhood, though, in the physical world, outside of that, we do all have a support system in the unseen world. And it actually is ancient. We've traveled with our guides and our support systems through lifetimes. And yes, our support system and our guides in the unseen world do change from incarnation to incarnation, but there is a core group that stays with us through the soul's many lifetimes, right? So there's this ancient sisterhood to tap into, and I want people to remember that it's there, and to just sit in silence and connect with this ancient sisterhood. And it's funny too, because when Julia and I discuss the cards and we talk about what's unfolding or whatever, there's messages that come through. And then as we go in it, sometimes the messages, the energies just start to kick us in a different direction. So I think that's interesting. And then we see the integration card, which was the outcome from last month's reading. So that's interesting now that it comes into hopes and fears. So I want to remind people that in this emergence energy and this tapping into our sovereign self, that there can still be some type of an integration going on, a weaving. We've got the woman who created the integration card actually passed on at a very young age, and her energy's in both decks. And I kind of feel like, actually, I don't even kind of feel like, I know she's still supporting this work. And in addition to the other amazing work that she's doing. So she is actually a support in from beyond. So we've got this really deep supportive energy going throughout this reading. That's being integrated and weaved into it. So Jules, I just kind of went in a different direction.
So good. So what came through while you were reading that is that when we look at bravery, knowing this is the mother-daughter connection, literally, and then we've got the ancient sisterhood in between, like if you're looking at it visually, how it's woven right there. And then that was really highlighted with the fact that how do we integrate the ancient sisterhood? Your ancestors, our ancestors are right there as well. And I'm doing a little bit of a study and haven't gotten the book yet, but I know that I believe this quote came from the book When the Women Were Drummers. And it spoke about how all the eggs within your mother's womb were formed when she was in the womb of the grandmother, your grandmother. So in other words, your genes were within your mother prior to you being even considered but yet you were considered because that part of you was in your mother when your mother was in the womb of her mother. It blows my mind to think about the magic and the mystery of who we are and who we are as ancestors, who our ancestors are. Like that to me is so deep. And I'm seeing that when you look at bravery, then you've got in the center the ancient sisterhood, the female ancestors, and then you've got this great angel with this woman coming out. And we'll go there, but I just want to just have that weaving started. Ancient Sisterhood is the one that I pulled for number 2, as Jill mentioned. We each pull a number 2, and Jill pulled in integration. And as facilitator for women's collectives, I'm going through an interesting transformation in the sistership. And just beginning, I do a mystery school every year, and we're just beginning to kick off the mystery school. And it's just an interesting dynamic. So for me to pull the card at a personal level, very powerful, especially in that position of how I really feel, that it is both my hopes and my dreams. And when we look at bravery and standing on, in your sovereignty and your autonomy in a world where, we're afraid to say something or afraid to take a stand on something, that does not mean that we are being judgmental towards someone else. It means that we are being strong in our sovereign selves. And in our sovereign selves, as queens, as priestesses, as powerful women, even when we're feeling a little not so brave, we still are that. We still have voice, and we still have integrity within ourselves. And it requires us to be brave to stand in that. When integration came up again, same thought that Jill had mentioned, I always feel Kimberly and her presence, and know that she is among the ancient sisterhood, working with and through, working into, weaving into that crondom, even though she was young, weaving into the power of the wise woman. She is there working in the other realm on and for all of our behalfs, on and for the behalf of the divine feminine and the sisterhood, the sistership. The other thing I want to mention about integration is I believe, are at a point of calling in all parts of us. Like the body does something, but sometimes we separate the body, physical body, from the emotional body, or the mental body, or the actional body, right? Or the spiritual body. And we are being called to integrate them as a whole. So sometimes who's driving? Who's driving the vessel? Who's driving the earthen temple? Right? And how can you connect them and bring them together? And sometimes that does require assistance. Like I know that when I start to feel detached, like my emotions are going out the roof, that's why I say I called Jill. She is one that I can confide in. I can be human. I can ooze with humanness. We can have the connection. And then through her wise words, through this ancient sisterhood that we have, she brings me back into integration. She's not the one bringing me back into integration, but yet she invites me through how she interacts, through her words, through the ability that I can trust who she is, through our like-mindedness, brings me back, right? Also, what came up with integration is that I know I'm packed full of certifications and studies and different modalities, as is Jill. She has probably far more than I do. And I liken it to religion. Now, I'm not bashing anybody's modalities, their studies, what they have channeled through. I am not bashing anybody's religion. It is all necessary. And some of us need to step out of that box, while others really need to stay within the box. And I'm not using the box as a bad thing. It's really healthy, because when you think of a box, it's a boundary. And what boundaries we need to hold, right? I need to keep my religion there. I need to keep in this particular modality. Then there are some of us who are like, I can't be confined to that box. I will take, with honor and grace and love and compassion and respect. Respect is huge. I will take what I'm gaining from that, but I need to go out and beyond. And over the decades of work that I've done, and I want to speak for you, Jill, but I know that you've done decades of work. we come to a point where we have it all right there, and we are able to integrate it again into what we offer for ourselves, for each other, for our families, for our communities, for our sisterships, right? That's just how this number 2 feels for me. How about you, Jill? Anything I said that kind of triggered? I hope not.
Yeah, well, I just awesome. Everything you said, I totally feel. I do want to add two things. One, Kimberly, the creator of the integration card, actually was a quilter. Was one of her many gifts, and she had her own quilting business. So how perfect and intentionally that she created the integration card with the quilting type energy in there. So I love that. I love that weaving it all together was one of Kimberly's amazing gifts that she did in her physical life and continues to do in her spirit life. And then I also want to point out the core of the reading with these 2 cards in the middle of the mother-daughter energy is heart chakra energy. And then we've got the heart right in the middle of the woman in the ancient sisterhood card there. So there's just all of this heart energy. So if nothing else we share in this reading, anytime you're feeling overwhelmed or you don't know what to do next, or you don't know how to be, tune into your heart, because that is really the center and the seat of the soul. And I feel like there is just such love and comfort in the heart space, even if you have a heart wall, which is a whole different topic. And many of us do, and sometimes we release them and rebuild them. But the heart is so powerful that even with a wall, you're still going to be able to some extent, tap into that heart energy. So even just placing your hands over your heart, if you feel called to, and it brings us to a place of surrender and openness to just really tune into the heart. And then we've got the angel gratitude card, which is also green there, right? So triangles are the strongest structure, I believe. Is that true? I've heard it before. I'm assuming it's true that the triangle is the strongest structure known to man. And we've got that triangle of the top card and then the middle card there. So more heart energy was the only other thing I wanted to bring up.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay.
So here we are standing in our sovereignty, knowing and believing that we've got support in the seen and unseen world, and knowing that we're still integrating all of these different energies and dynamics. So now we move to the third card, which is catching fire. So I love that there's 3 images in that card as well. So you've got the main image, in the red, and then you've got these 2 other images behind it. To me, that's just more support. So that catching fire card is all about tapping into your passion and fire energy, and there's movement there. And Julia, you mentioned something when we were talking about this card. So to me, when I look at it, I know that the fire is movement and energy and passion and creativity. And then I see the support there. So, we've got ourselves, but then we also have our higher self and our highest self and our angels and our guides. Excuse me. I'm going to turn it over to you.
Yeah, and the oversoul too, which this is really powerful to me when I look at this card, that the 2 surrounding her are the oversoul. And if we're talking maiden, mother, and crone, I had just mentioned looking at bravery, ancient sisterhood, and angel gratitude, and knowing that there's a mother-daughter connection with the grandmother energy in the ancient sisterhood as well. Do you want me to keep going, Jill? Are you ready? You want to finish your thought?
No, keep going. No, I pretty much said what I needed to say in that.
So catching fire to me and it's in the helpful energy, it requires bravery. And when we're standing in our personal sovereignty and autonomy, right? Our masks are off. We are ready. It's not like it's a little bit different than courage, but it's bravery. It takes bravery to take that first step into your dreams, into your desires, into the thing that you want. And in this read, what I'm seeing is you have a desire, you have a dream, and you're standing on your firm foundation of that. And it's asking you to take that step. What is next? Who do you get to be? And what does it take for you to ignite that passion within you to go for it? And we are invited in the whole center of this read to access, and even in Catching Fire, your higher self, your oversoul, the ancient ones, the gods and goddesses, your spirit team, whoever it is that you pray to, whoever it is that you look out for, your animal totems. Be brave, integrate that, and then catch fire in your passion and freaking go for it. We all need whatever it is you are called, bravely called, to bring into this world. Go for it. Jill, what do you think?
Yeah, that's beautiful. For those of you who might be new, I actually have a genetic eye disorder. So visually, I don't always catch a lot of things. So you'll see me sometimes going over the card with my magnifying glass. There's a lot of richness in this card that I don't think that really shows up on the screen. So one of the things that's standing out to me right now at this time is, we've got a lot of base root chakra energy in this card, though the main border of the card is crown chakra. So when we're talking about creativity and passion and movement or whatever, we want to do it from a grounded state of being and from a connection to the cosmic energies, from the divine inspiration and ideas. So that's one of the things that I'm also hearing in that card is, while you're really kind of standing in your personal power and creating what you're here to create in the world, or, whether it's a hobby or a business or whatever, however creativity shows up in your world, really open up to the divinity of the inspiration that you're getting, and then ground it in the physical world. So there's a lot of grounding energy that I'm feeling in that divinely inspired energy to be grounded in physical form and then move forward with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love how you brought that up too. You've got the crown energy and you've got the root energy, and just as we then become that living bridge between the two, and we can integrate that, knowing that we have both support moving forward into our creations. Beautiful. Thank you. So that is the helpful energy placement. And then we go to the challenge card, which is release. And the first thing that's coming out, I'm just going to throw it out there, is oftentimes when Jill, I know I'm throwing Jill under the bus, but oftentimes when we work with people, I know Jill does this too, we're curious how awake is someone. And often people feel very awake. I'm awake and aware. I'm spiritually right there. I've got it. I love Jill's words. I've got it in the bag. And I personally don't think that any of us quite have it in the bag. I find, especially in today's atmosphere in the world, we have to continually wake up into an awareness of what is going on. And oftentimes that requires, when we wake up, that requires us to look at what needs to be let go of or what needs to be released. Certain things we cannot move forward on our path if we're held on to old beliefs, limiting beliefs, or if our perspective has not changed. So I don't feel the need to go into this right now, but there is a difference between letting go and a release. That's a conversation Jill and I would be happy to have if anybody's inquiring, because it goes a little bit deep. But the main thing that I'm getting as far as the challenge is, just when you think you got it in the bag, sister, wake up. Wake up more. Become more aware. Step out of that box. Expand the boxes that you are integrating. And it's going to require some bravery to do that. What are your thoughts, Jill?
Yeah. So first of all, out of all of the women that were in these collaborative decks, some I know personally more than others. Some were brought into this collaborative project through some of the core people of these cards. I got to know the artist of the release card. Her name is Jennifer. She's just an amazingly beautiful, beautiful, beautiful soul. I happen to know that the size of the painting that she created for this was huge. I mean, we're talking, I wish I had an image of how big she painted this image. It was just ginormous. Julie and I have a little bit of a difference of opinion as far as the release letting go thing. So again, we always invite people to take what resonates with them as far as it goes. Try not to get hooked up in the verbiage itself. If I didn't actually realize this until Julia and one of the other artists of the deck brought it to my attention, the difference between release and letting go. And it makes a lot of sense. And I know, Julia, you said we weren't going to go there. So I forget how charged words are until I get triggered from a word itself or hooked up into a word. So if release is one of those words that is triggering to you, sit with it, just reflect on it and see what it means to you. So with release being in the obstacle position, I think it's a beautiful invitation to let us know that, hey, tune in. Is there anything that you're holding on to that you're ready to let go of? And dare I suggest that it might be something actually big, since I know for a fact the painting was huge, you guys. I'll have to try to find that picture, but there may be something big in your life or a core limiting belief that you have that really just isn't true for you anymore. And part of you knows it's not true, but part of you wants to hold on to it, most likely on a subconscious level, but maybe on a conscious level. And maybe now, because you're being invited to release it or let it go, that you might we don't want to focus on the negative, right? But we do need to be aware of it, and it has to give some messages for us. So ask yourself, is there something that is ready to be released and let go of in your life that just really, truly doesn't serve you anymore? Love and accept yourself for whatever you're feeling, because you have to feel your feelings, I believe. Otherwise they get stuck and then they need to be released at a different time, and they're going to keep bubbling up until they're ready to, you're ready to look at them and address them. So the invitation with the obstacle energy card is there something big in your life that is ready to be released? And then I love the orb that's off in the corner. There's this illuminating light. And again, that's just more support. That's divine wisdom is right there. So when you release what you're ready to release, the light is just able to integrate into your body system and realign your chakra system and your energy system. And Julia and I did talk briefly before about the central nervous system, and how when the central nervous system is overstimulated or whatever, the energy gets kind of all wonky in the system and whatever. So the woman in the card, she's got her eyes closed and whatever. So also perhaps consider going into stillness, whatever that looks like for you, or intuitive movements, like something maybe flowy and gently and whatever, to allow the central nervous system to begin to calm. There are some great videos on YouTube with calming the triple warmer meridian, which governs the fight flight response. So you might want to look into some of the central nervous system or triple warmer meridian calming techniques that are available. Just something to consider. So water, though, Julia, one of your amazing gifts is bringing the elements into ceremony and ritual as far as a releasing, cleansing type of supportive energy. So we see, the throat chakra, we see the color blue here, which really symbolizes water. We're talking about releasing. So emotions are from the water realm. Do you have anything to add as far as perhaps any type of water ceremony people may want to consider doing or ritual?
Yeah. So, a simple bath is a wonderful ritual to do. Um, Lang Lang essential oil added to that would be lovely. Lavender, pink Himalayan salt, a little bit of baking soda. Being really intentional before as you set up, and setting it up in a very ceremonial way, lighting some candles, maybe some soft music, doing some journaling of what is ready to be released at this time for yourself, and cleansing the wholeness of who you are. And then I like to rinse off after I've enjoyed my warm bath, my kind of like home spa bath. And then as the water goes down, watching it all go down as it's taking anything from my auric field in my body, internally from my chakras, all the way down. And then rinsing myself off, that final rinse, right? Anointing myself with lotion and oil, and then taking what I've written as a release. And if we're going to continue it with water, making it very small, and putting it into maybe a river or a stream. We could add the fire element as well, and then go ahead and burn it. Could soak it in water and let it disintegrate that way, and then making sure it's not toxic ink that you've used, and then giving it back to the Great Mother and allowing earth energy then to come in and compost that which you let go of or released back into her.
Thank you. That's beautiful.
Mm.
Anything else you want to say about the release card?
So yes, sorry, there was, but as you're speaking, and and I mentioned that she appears to be asleep. In truth, what you're saying is, I believe she's in breath and meditation work. But I wanted to bring up the sleep because so often we think we got it, and I want to remind ourselves that we can continue to wake up more and more and more. And part of that process is meditation and breath work. And when it comes to releasing the parasympathetic nerve, the exhale is more important than the inhale. And so I won't go into that right now. There are videos that you can do, but if you're looking for a simple breath work, you can reach out to one of us and we can share that with you as far as that. But breath is life, breath of life, right? I believe that to the capacity that we are able to breathe deeply and richly, so is our life. And that is always evolving. And when you mentioned the bright light up above, and we have in the center so much heart chakra going on, which is the anahata, the unstruck place. One of my teachers previously had taught that when we access the anahata, that is the place where the divine spark began. And it is unconditional love, eternal love. It can never go out. But we can activate it and increase it in our lives. And this card is asking us to me in this reading, to activate that love light that is within us, that is the spark from the divine. And I'm bringing it up because as you release and let go, oftentimes you'll hear people say, but have what you want to fill it, because the universe does not like a void and something's going to fill. Fill yourself with the love light, the divine light within you, before you do the release. Because what happens is then if you are so filled, when something is released or let go of, that love light goes in and fills the cavities. It illuminates, permeates, penetrates your cells, your beingness, all of who you are. So that was the next thing that came up. Thanks, Jill.
Thank you. Very interesting. All right, so moving then into the final card of Angel Gratitude. So this is the answer outcome advice card. So again, if you don't do, if you implement nothing else, the invitation is to tune into the heart energy that just is always available to you. So yeah, Angel Gratitude. When I look at this card, I see again the support energy, right? We've got the woman that is like emerging or peeking out from this space, almost like she's coming out, she's emerging, but she's supported by her angel. So safety and going back to the central nervous system, in the root chakra, and just the journey here. If you feel safe 100% of the time, I am so happy for you. I don't, like, sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. I think as we evolve and we grow and we move forward, or we change boxes, or we expand our box, or do something outside of the structures of the norm, there can be that little bit of new energy, unfamiliar, whatever. And it takes courage. And again, I mentioned it earlier, it takes courage to walk this path. And it takes even more courage, I believe, to walk this path with awareness. So just remembering that, even if you don't feel safe, just remember that you're supported and you are safe on this journey. Which even saying that out loud is not 100% true. I mean, bad things happen all the time, right? So, but the core level of our journey is really deepening the feeling of being safe and secure on our journey and supported. So what I just keep hearing is acknowledging people that have been violated in some way. It could be in the worst possible way. It could be, something that maybe some of us might say, oh, well, that wasn't that big of a violation. The feeling of being violated, wherever it falls on the spectrum, needs to be honored and acknowledged. So I really want to acknowledge that. So as I sit here and I talk about safety and security and being supported or whatever, I do want to acknowledge that for some people, it doesn't always feel like that's a true thing. So I want you to remember, though, in the unseen world, that there is always that support in divine truth, in outside of the illusion. Only love is real. They talk about it in the Course in Miracles. Only love is real. This physical world, this world of illusion, isn't our true home. It's not our true experience. We're spiritual beings having a human experience. So tapping into that memory can be helpful. And just knowing that doesn't mean that things in this world, are less than awesome at times. So I want to acknowledge that. But I also want to have that gratitude to the universe and the support that's available to us as we grow and we learn and we evolve and we wake up more and more and more. And for that, I think there's a lot of gratitude in knowing that the angelic realm and the other realms of the ascended masters and other support systems, I think having gratitude for that is huge. So Julia, we all have our strengths. And when I tell you that community and safety and structure in community is one of Julia's many, 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 many strengths. So it's not necessarily mine per se, but Julia, I'd love to hear what you have to say about support and community and safety that you think would be really helpful for those, because this won't be true for everybody watching this, but for some people that have been either burned in community or or not felt supported or whatever, what insight can you share with people as far as community and support?
I can only speak from the community that I'm blessed to facilitate. And I say it that way. In fact, this weekend we had a great gathering here at the cabin. And somebody said, well, it is your group. And it is not my group, it is their group. And I am blessed to hold the container. So as you're seeking community, I suggest that some of the things that are so important is know the facilitator, really connect with. I meet one-on-one with anyone who wants to come into community, because I may not resonate with everyone, right? And it's like trying to put a round peg into a square hole. Find a facilitator that resonates with you, one that and go a few times and see, is this facilitator able to hold the container of safety, right? Do you feel safe there to speak your voice, to share your feelings? And if not, it's okay. There are other facilitators out there. It's just an exploration, but also trusting yourself. And one thing that I noticed, if you are in community and you're just kind of there, but you're not really in community, one of the things that's coming in strongly right now, and I will be holding conversation with the Blessed Ones, the sistership that I'm honored to facilitate for, is some are not really there, right? Like it's like I'm a part of, but I only show up sometimes, which is cool. Life is super busy, but that also, what's important is to know that that's like a pinhole leak for you and for the sistership, right? And as a facilitator, I see that, and I feel like it's really important that if you're not really in, but you're just kind of hanging there, to really decide, is this for you? Is this going to open up timelessness for you, more time for you to be a part of? Otherwise, it might be best to pull out and view it from a different way, so that you kind of close up any kind of a leak. Our energy is so important and so valuable. Noticing where you've got these little bit of leaks, like looking at my statement and going, oh, I'm still a member of that monthly group, right? Like I don't watch Hulu, but I'm still paying for Hulu, or I'm still paying for Audible and I haven't got a book for 17 months, right? It's really paying attention. Where are things leaking? They might be small, but it helps you to better manage your energy as well. Yeah. I want to mention on this too, that there's a subtleness, and thank you, Jill, for honoring those that don't feel safe. And if you don't feel safe in a community or at home, please find your support. Support is always out there. We have to catch fire and go find it. But there's a subtleness about this as well. And in this angel gratitude, she talks about feeling the angel's wings. And, you know, when my husband crossed over, it'll be 17 years in a week. When he died, there were moments of such great anguish that all I could do was just curl up in a fetal position and sob. But there were moments that I could actually feel angels' wings round about me. And in that, there is such gratitude to get to the point where you are at that subtleness, that you're able, even in the really hard times, to feel their presence. It's a beautiful thing. I know with so much assurity in my heart, we were not dropped on this earth to muddle around on our own, to take whatever comes our way, right? We have the freedom of choice. How are we going to interact and react to the things that happen? And we have a spirit team. We have angels, guides, ascended masters. We have support teams here, support teams there, ancestors there. How do we access it? How do we integrate it for our highest and greatest good? So beautiful. Thank you, Jill. Gosh.
Yeah, thank you, Julia. So I just kind of want to say one more thing as far as that goes. You know, there is something, an archetypal pattern of the mentor, and the mentor archetype has a shadow, and it's the shadow mentor. And that is a person that never really wants to see people grow and evolve and move beyond the teacher's ideals or capabilities or whatever. So a shadow mentor builds you up and then he'll knock you down, and then build you up and then knock you down, right? So I mean, this can be in a relationship, it can be in a mentorship or other kind of situation. It could be one or the other. So I just want to give that invitation to, if somebody's building you up and then knocking you down, that is far different than somebody calling you on your shit, right? Because if I'm wallowing in my shit, I want my friends or my mentors to acknowledge where I'm at and acknowledge my feelings. You know, but I don't want them to come down there with me. Then I want the invitation to help me see a bigger picture, or to allow me to feel my feelings and then help me see my blind spots or whatever, without belittling me, without making me feel less or whatever. So honoring and acknowledging where I'm at, and then helping me grow and evolve, right? So if you are in any type of a relationship or community where you're being belittled for your feelings or knocked down or whatever, I want you to be, you know, I want you to be mindful. I want you to reflect on that, because we're all on this journey together. We're all in different places on this journey, and the level of support that is available to us is uplifting. It could be honest, right? Because we just don't want somebody to not be honest with us, but we want people to be in the highest integrity when we're sharing space with them. So I do want you to know that if somebody is belittling you or knocking you down, then, you know, maybe that's not the right place for you to be, because that's just really not okay. So, all right. Wow. Okay. Jules.
Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, I'm just gonna, if you're ready to close, let's just close with Bravery. And she says, be brave, be free. And I think that's what this all is about. Thank you, Jill, so much.
All right. Thank you, everybody. And yeah, we hope you take what resonates with you. And again, let the rest go. All right. Bye-bye. Let me see here. Let's say bye-bye one more time while I figure out how to end the recording.
You got
All right.
it.
Goodbye again.